Welcome to Conversations in the Closet with your host, motivational speaker, fitness expert, and fashion guru, Theresa Roemer.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Conversations in the Closet with yours truly, Theresa Roemer. And today we have a amazing special guest. Her name is Sandra Gonzalez. Welcome, Sandra.
Thank you so much, Theresa. Appreciate you having me.
Yes. I'm so excited to talk to you because we have a little something in common. We both seem to be coaches. So I really want to hear this background because, you're a retired Marine officer turned life coach. Talk about reinventing yourself.
Absolutely. Yes, I'm just that, Theresa, retired Marine officer, turned life coach speaker, and I help high caliber women entrepreneurs pull the trigger. So I help them cultivate sexy confidence so they can authentically step into any room, make heads turn, and stand out as a leader. And that's what we need more of, I believe.
Yes. But let's back up just a little bit. So you were in the Marines, or I don't think you ever lose that title. You're always a Marine, right? So you were in the military, let's just say that. And how long were you in it?
I was in the Marine Corps for 20 years.
Wow. So you were a lifer.
Yes. And I'm thankfully retired now.
Right. So I guess when you retired, you either got bored or you said, hey, I still need to make a living. What can I do? So why don't you tell us the path that took you to become what you are now, coming from being in the military?
And that's a great question, Theresa, because I actually knew, I would say 3 or 4 years prior to my retirement, I knew that my passion was in motivating, inspiring, educating the masses. At the time, I didn't know who. I just knew I was leading men and women. I was training them for the rigors of combat. I was, inspiring them to the best of my ability so they can sustain not only the tough lifestyle they have, having a family, but then sustaining the tough lifestyle. They get deployed, going into combat, going into a hostile environment. That takes a lot of mental fortitude. So I share that with you because life drops subtle hints, and I knew that I wanted to take this and somehow, insert it into this new thing I was going to step into. What that was, I didn't know. I just knew that it was inspiring people. And that's how I kind of made the transition. I knew that at the 20-year mark, I would retire. And I had this calling to be an entrepreneur. So that's where it...
So while you were in the Marines, was your specific title or your job title you were motivating people on your team? I'm imagining, were you a captain? Were you a sergeant? What was your actual job title or whatever you call it?
So I retired. Great question. So my rank, I'm a retired Chief Warrant Officer 3. So as a Chief Warrant Officer, we lead men and women, and you wear a lot of hats. So my military occupational skill, which was my job, was administrative in nature, but that requires leadership. So the leadership skills that I developed enabled me to understand that it's about really helping people, moving people, helping them take action. And, so I learned this because I was also a Marine Corps drill instructor, where I trained women recruits, to pull the trigger per se.
Right.
So, that's what I did. But I knew that I wanted to take these skill sets and transition into something new. And I knew that, I'm going to be a life coach. I know how to help them not only stay inspired, but give them the skill sets, the tools they need to,
right.
To move forward.
Yeah. And so the whole reason I bring this up is because, people like to know what your background is, where you came from, how, oh, did she just wake up one day and decide to be a life coach? No. I mean, like myself being a past fitness instructor, personal trainer, gym owner, I myself had that coaching background, that training background, that motivation background where you have to motivate people to get somewhere in life, whether it be their health or whether it be their fitness goals or losing weight or whatever, So, a lot of people don't know the ins and outs of different people's titles in the Marines. And so that's why I'm bringing up your background. And so it's going to help our listeners understand, oh, that was her background. Now it's making more sense why she's so good at her job now is because, look, you had 20 years of motivating, drilling, getting people to do things, and that's not always easy. Yeah. So congratulations on being able to reinvent yourself. Not really reinvent yourself because you were really doing that all along. It's just now that you're not in the Marines, we're now calling you a life coach, whereas in the Marines, you were called something different. But in a way, you were a life coach in the Marines too, because it was all about, still helping people be the best they can be and come out and there's so many people that hold themselves back, and that as well as I do, being a life coach, that most of the time it's people standing in their own way that prohibit them from being successful.
Exactly, Theresa.
Yeah. So how long have you been the life coach now?
So I've been a life coach approximately 3 to 4 years. And that evolved from me actually being a personal trainer. So, as I coach these high caliber women entrepreneurs, it's like you just evolve. How adorable.
Sorry.
It's okay. Yeah. So, 3 or 4 years, and it's about evolving. It's about designing your life, creating yourself. And I'm here one moment. I don't, within the next year or 5 years, I might be doing something else, and that's okay.
Right. Yes. So do you mostly work with women or do you work with men also?
I do. I work with men also. My focus is on women just because I simply understand them firsthand. But I work with men also, Theresa.
Well, and we love to be able to empower other women,
Yeah.
I think that's what it's about is trying to help empower other women, because there are so many women out there that don't have the confidence. They don't, they just seem like shy little wallflowers. And yet when you start working with them, you start to pull that out of them. And, suddenly they're like this little rose bloom that just opens up and becomes this full blown rose. Yeah, and it's so fun to watch and so fun to be a part of.
Absolutely. And that's the beautiful thing, that we're focusing on this woman, but she really impacts her sphere of influence. So it's, this beautiful process, or who she blossoms into, that is not only beautiful, but the people she impacts as a result of her making that effort.
So good question here is, and I've seen it many times, where a woman who's shy, not very confident, and she starts to work with a life coach, and now her husband doesn't like the person she's become. Yeah. So it's kind of funny to see, and I don't want to say funny, but it's kind of funny, interesting to see how a man likes to have, and I'm not saying all men either, so they don't need to come after me, but it's interesting to see these men suddenly not like how their woman becomes so confident and so sure of herself. And so, I don't know, they don't really like it. And so I've seen problems arise because we've helped empower these women to have voices.
Yes. Theresa, I would say I'm a prime example of that. I was married for 15 years to, I would say, my best friend, my soulmate. who's very, alpha type, very assertive, very strong, very confident. However, I will continue to grow. And I realized as I started, and scaled my business, I would invite him. I said, hey, I'm going to be a guest speaker at the Dubai World Trade Center. Like, who would not support their spouse in doing that? And he would shy away from things of that nature. And I realized, I said, possibly there's like an insecurity there I don't know about. I've never thought he would be insecure. However, I choose to grow. If he's going to assist me in this process, wonderful. If not, life will show me otherwise. And that's what happened, Theresa. Unfortunately, I would say 2 years later, my marriage came to a screeching halt. And it's okay. I enjoyed that time with this amazing man who was wonderful. He was an amazing husband up until, the end, the demise of my marriage, but it's okay.
So isn't that funny that I bring up something and you lived through? So see, I mean, like it happens. It happens. Men, sometimes it happens with people that are overweight too. The husband likes the woman at 300 pounds and suddenly now she's 150 pounds and more confident and more sure of herself and more outgoing. And now he doesn't like that woman anymore. So, it happens. But yeah, so see, you're a prime example. You're able to even explain to women, hey, I myself have lived through that. It happened to me. It's okay.
And I refuse to lower my standards to make other people comfortable, even if it's somebody who I thought was my soulmate. I refuse. This is my life. We're in it together. And you either come for the joyride or this is where you get off, and it's okay. So it's been great. I've been blessed.
So do you have more fun being a life coach or more fun being the speaker?
What a great question. I would say I love speaking, Theresa. I love speaking because you can feel the energy. And as a speaker, it's my responsibility to bring it to the audience. It's my responsibility to capture their attention. It's my responsibility to give them, to fill up their love tank, so to speak. So not only are they walking away inspired, they know, like come Monday morning when that motivation is fleeting, they know, oh shoot, this is what I got to do because Sandra said, this is what I can do. And I incorporate into my life, and they take action. So to answer your question, Theresa, I love speaking because I love people. And I think it's my responsibility as a speaker to drive that energy, to raise their frequency and give them something they can add to their toolbox so they can move forward, in a positive way.
Right. So you were never one of those speakers that was real shy?
Yes, Theresa. I bring up this, I remember I'm like, oh my God, I have to speak at the Dubai World Trade Center. I remember thinking, Theresa, who am I? I said, I'm just this retired Marine officer, Latina from South San Diego, California. And I was actually speaking to very successful entrepreneurs, very people like academic professors. I'm like, oh my goodness, I got intimidated. But in that moment, I realized they're going to accept me for who I am and what I have to offer. And I just have to be me. Mm-hmm. And it was that learning experience, because life is filled with lessons, that I realized I have to move forward, face my fears.
Yes. I just try, every time I speak, I just try to imagine everyone in their underwear, naked, Yeah. And it makes me feel better. But yeah, I always try to tell people, in order to further yourself in life, you need to make yourself uncomfortable once in a while. And, sometimes speaking in front of people makes you very uncomfortable.
Oh, yes.
But it helps you. It helps you grow. It helps you be a better coach. It helps you be a better speaker. It helps you be a better person, because, we shouldn't always live to be comfortable. We need to be able to be uncomfortable to get to that next level if that's what you so desire.
Absolutely. And, coming from the Marine Corps, discipline is sexy. It's like, this is what we need now more than ever, Theresa, is to discipline our mindset, discipline who we associate ourselves with, discipline what we eat. Because as you already know, Theresa, right? Oh my goodness.
Oh, yes.
We have problems.
But, I think that discipline and, being an athlete myself, being a former bodybuilder, a gym owner, a trainer for 30 plus years, discipline to me is everything. And that discipline carries over in all aspects of my life, my business, my home life, my career. It doesn't matter. I mean, like, to me, when you have discipline, life just is so much better. Everything to me, it just runs smoother when you have that discipline. I have the discipline to get up the same time every day. I have my schedules just, and people are like, oh, you're so disciplined. And I'm like, am I? I think I've been so disciplined so long, my entire life. Beautiful. I don't realize it anymore, but from the outsider looking in, they're just like, wow, you're so disciplined. You eat so good. You work out so good. You do this so good. And I'm like, but that discipline just carries over into your life.
It does, Theresa. And it's one of the many things that I try to help women understand. I said, look, boo, practice is the price you pay for a better tomorrow. You're already practicing something. Why not practice high caliber habits that are going to enable you to see yourself differently? That are going to enable you to impact, your sphere of influence, and then make more money.
And who doesn't want to make more money? So did you find yourself during the pandemic having a problem? I'm assuming you didn't do a lot of speaking because there was not a lot of things going on to where you could go actually speak in person. I'm sure you could still do life coaching because you could do it via Zoom or FaceTime or whatever, but I'm sure your speaking engagements were way down during the pandemic.
Yes. Like everybody else, it's everything was affected. Yeah. So it's learning to pivot. It's learning to pivot and step into, okay, well, I guess this is our new reality, staying home. Now, how do I adjust? And it's about always adapting.
You have to adapt. Yes. Adapt. Yeah. And it's been interesting through all the people I've interviewed since the pandemic to see how many people just reinvented themselves or like you said, pivoted and said, okay, I can't make a living doing this. So now I'm just going to have to try to do it this way, because people still had to make a living. And so when you were making a living doing things in person, face to face with people, and now you're no longer able to do that, you've got to figure out, okay, how do I still make a living?
Exactly.
Yeah. So do you do most of your life coaching via Zoom?
I do, but every now and then when there's the woman's available, I love like having breakfast with her just in person. It's a little bit more powerful, but if she's available, we'll do it in person. So
most of your clientele then would end up being in California?
Yes. California. And, because I lived overseas, I had some overseas, but predominantly the US. And, now that I'm here in Mexico, I'm actually hosting a women's empowerment retreat this weekend. So I'm trying to branch out to Mexico because I speak Spanish. So why not, Theresa?
Oh, so you're actually in Mexico right now?
I am. I'm in Mazatlan.
Nice.
Vente, Theresa, vente.
We should have been doing this one in person.
Oh. One day, inshallah, like my Arabic friends say, inshallah, one day, Theresa.
Right. So where do you see yourself in the next 5 years?
I see myself having written my book. I see myself doing international speaking engagements. I see myself growing my women's empowerment retreat. And changing women's lives, like helping her see, there's something lying dormant within, having her really helping her see what she wants to see, which I think, as you already know, is very transformational. But those are my endeavors. Those are my goals. And I have so many more, but, to keep brief.
Right. But doesn't that just warm your heart when you can see a woman have that aha moment?
Thinking about it brings tears, Theresa, like, yes, babe, I went through something difficult, and it's in those moments of pain that, this person is not going to support you financially. It's in those moments of pain where, you find your dad unconscious, found my dad unconscious last year, and you go through trauma, you go through struggle. And I'm like, babe, this thing is happening to you for a reason. Adversity is your advantage. So I want you to shift to, there's a lesson. Focus on the lesson, not the loss. And that is beautiful. So helping her understand that discomfort is a beautiful thing and adversity is her advantage. This is going to give her the mental toughness she needs to really listen to what's calling at her.
So this could be a tough question, but do you have one particular client that just happens to stand out more than any of the rest that you feel like you did your best work with?
You know what? It's like they're so unique in their own way. But one that particularly comes to mind, I was helping her start and really see what she's really worth. What I didn't know was that she had like an alcohol problem that later on she divulged to me that she was able to let go of as a result of the coaching. So, this woman came to me wanting to start and scale her business. So she did. She was actually speaking internationally, coaching internationally. And then for her to divulge like that information as we progressed, I said, oh my goodness, I have to keep going. I have to keep going.
Yeah. And it's in moments like that you're like, this is why I do what I do.
Yes, Theresa.
And you can see that you've changed someone's life like that. You're like, this is why I do what I do.
Absolutely. And I experienced that in the Marine Corps in different ways, like helping a woman pull the trigger and showing her what she's capable of, and then the families come to the graduation and see a different, complete person. Very rewarding, which I infused, my military experience into my coaching methodology now. But it's a very beautiful thing, Theresa.
So do you have children?
I do. I do, Theresa. So my oldest is actually a sergeant in the Marine Corps. She's getting ready to get out of the Marine Corps. And my youngest is a freshman at UCSD here in San Diego.
Very nice. So we've got a daughter that followed your footsteps.
She did. And now she's moving on to nursing school. So I'm proud of her.
Oh, so she loves helping people too.
She does.
In a different way.
Absolutely.
Very nice. So what would you say so far in your life has been your greatest life achievement? That's tough, isn't it?
Yes, Theresa. But I've really had like an aha moment, I would say, within the last year after finalizing my divorce, which was a very difficult process, and then losing my dad at the same time. The most difficult, although very rewarding thing was stepping into this woman I've always wanted to see. That's been the most rewarding thing, having the courage to step into this ideal woman who loves people, who lives with integrity, who's there for her mom, tries to be there for her, to the best of her ability for her kids. That, without a doubt.
Yeah. I had a meeting one time with Damon John from the Shark Tank, and he asked me that question. He said, Theresa, please tell me your greatest life achievement. And I felt like it was a trick question, because I was like, okay, if I say being a mom, he's going to think, oh, she's not much of a businesswoman. All she's thinking about is her kids, you know? But then if I talk about the business side of things, maybe he's going to go, oh, well, she's not that great of a mom. She doesn't even care about her kid, you know? So I was like, so finally, after much needed thought, I just looked at him in the eye and I said, I don't think anyone should ever be defined by having one great life achievement. I said, I've had many and I plan on having many more.
Beautiful, Theresa. Beautiful.
Because I can look back and think of at least 20 things in my life that I've done amazing. I've achieved a lot, you know, it's been amazing moments and trophies and this and that. And, but I'm like, I don't think any of those define who I am. I mean, like, I can't just pick one either. I think we should be allowed to have many, many great life achievements.
Absolutely. But, you know, and as you asked me that question, you know, I do not give in to mediocrity. And having said that, we don't know. Tomorrow's never promised. So, you know, I don't want to live with regret. And I answered it that way because I'm glad that I had the courage to step into this woman that I want to continue seeing and, you know, and continue to grow and learn.
Well, and I always tell everyone, you know, this is our one and only chance.
Yes.
This is not a dress rehearsal. This is the real deal.
Exactly.
So if you think you can be asleep at the wheel for 10 years and then be on death's doorstep and go, oh, well, wait, I just missed 10 years of my life because I was not thinking and I was just sleeping. Too bad. Life continues to go on. And, you know, I buried my 23-year-old brother when I was 26. Wow. I buried my 19-year-old son in 2006. I buried both of my fathers, you know, and it showed me that you don't have to be 90 years old to die. My 23-year-old brother died in the military. My 19-year-old son died in a car wreck. You know, both of my fathers died very young, and so, you know, it taught me that death has no age, and it can happen at any minute. And so I always try to tell people, this is not a dress rehearsal. This is the real deal, and I just know that I'm not going to live with any regrets. If I have an idea, I'm going to go with it. I may fail. I may succeed. Don't know, but I am not going to be sitting there on my deathbed going, oh, I wished I would have. I'm going to say, I did it all. I might have failed at some things. I might have been successful at some things, but I have no regrets.
Beautiful, beautiful, Theresa. What a great example.
Right. And so, yeah, like I said, I always feel that most of the time, the person that stands in most people's way of being successful is themselves, because they're just too scared. They don't want to get out of their comfort zone and try something. But I always tell them, if you fail, it at least shows that you're trying.
Exactly.
And you know, every successful person I know has always had failure. You cannot just be born successful.
No.
You're going to have some mishaps. You're going to have some hiccups. You're going to fall down. You know, you get back up and go again. But, you know, look at the first time you rode a bicycle. You probably crashed. You probably fell off, whatever. Did it stop you? No, you got back on the bike and you tried it again. But as we get to become adults, we forget that. We forget. Once we fall down, we're like, oh, never mind. I'm not supposed to do it. Oh, yes, you are. You just have to try again. And try again and try again, and pretty soon you're going to be successful.
And that's part of entrepreneurship, is failing forward. Fail forward. Just
I used to have a sign that hung above my desk in my gyms that said, why would I want to work for you 8 hours a day when I can work for myself 16 hours a day?
Ooh, love that. Yes.
So, yeah, and like you, I mean, like I love being an entrepreneur. I like being able to call my own shots and call my own hours. And if I want to work from 7 a.m. till midnight, I do it, you know. But there is no punch out at 5 o'clock and it's over with. kind of thing. It's you're working all the time. You know that.
Yes. No, I had my women's empowerment retreat, but I said, Theresa, you make time for important things.
Yes. All day long. So you're an empty nester then.
Yes. Yes.
Divorced and an empty nester.
Yes. Are you inviting me somewhere, Theresa? Because I'm ready.
Okay, listeners, did you hear that? She's divorced and an empty nester. So I did ask you where you see yourself in 5 years. So say 20 years from now.
20 years from now, where do I see myself? Probably, I would say, kind of doing the same thing for sure. It keeps me, like one of the things I've developed, thankfully, is being able to sustain motivation. And that's a habit, as you already know, Theresa. So doing that in a way that I'm like, I'm going to be that grandmother that wrestles with her grandkids. People are like, oh my goodness, Sandra, how old are you? Why you did 20 years in the market? Absolutely. And guess what? We're supposed to get better. Don't tell me this, that you're getting older. I said, that's nonsense. Your mindset is so powerful. You have to understand you're like this lethal weapon. Your mind will drive you to, attract those illnesses, or your mind will demand more. No, age is just a number. I'm going to get better. I'm like wine. I'm going to get better. So to answer your question, Theresa, I'm going to be better, sexier, leaner, happier, wrestling with my grandkids.
Well, we never did ask your age. But if we do the math, we're going to say you're in your 40s.
I know, 20 years in the Marine Corps, right? I'm in my 40s.
If we look at the years in the Marine Corps and we look at the ages of your children, we're going to say you're in your 40s.
Yes. And 40s is a new 20s.
Exactly. And this year I turned 60. And people are like, what? You're 60 and you're still doing this and you're still doing that. And I'm like, age is just a number. Age is just a number, people. Like, I might have turned 60, but I still feel like I'm like 25 or 30, and I still work out like I'm in my 30s, and I still wear the same size clothes as in my 30s. And, so to me, age is just a number. And I've got 11 grandchildren. And like you said, you want to be able to run and play with them and have fun and yeah. So where do I see myself in 20 years? Probably doing the same thing I'm doing now, because when you are having fun, it doesn't seem like you're working.
Wow, Theresa, what a beautiful example. Thank you for that.
Yeah. And so I'm always like, if you get out there and you find something that you're passionate about and you have fun, you will never feel like you're working.
Yes.
And so why not 20 years from now? Why wouldn't I be doing the same thing, but even better? Like you said, it's like being fine wine. Somebody says, oh, well, you're not the same girl you were 20 years ago. And I'm like, thank God. I don't want to be the same, when it comes to my soul, yes, I'm that same person. I am that same little girl that was raised on that ranch. But as an adult and as an entrepreneur, I am not that same person I was 20 years ago. I've grown. Yeah. I've gotten better. So no, if you're still the same person you were 20 years ago, shame on you, because you should have gotten better.
Exactly.
Like you said, you need to move forward.
Absolutely.
So let's ask this question. Where can people find you?
They can find me on Instagram at the Sandra Gonzalez. It's spelled with 2 Z's, Theresa. Or they can go to my website, reach out to me, www.sandragonzalez.com. Or, social media, easiest way to send me a DM and say, hey, Sandra, I watched this episode. I love connecting to people all over the world.
So I'm assuming you have pricing, or they contact you and then they find out pricing or whatever for sessions and whatnot.
Yes.
Is it all individual or do you do group?
So I do group. There's only 3 things I offer: my group, my VIP coaching, the one-on-one, and then women's empowerment retreats just once a year. So
this one in Mexico is your one a year?
yes.
So it's got to be a big one.
It's my second one. So I, like you said, Theresa, I'm learning, I'm practicing, I'm making it better, for the next year. What can I do better? And it's having fun in the moment that makes all the difference. That I've realized. I said, I have to have fun. We got to plug in fun into the equation in order to attract what we want. If I keep myself from having fun, there's going to be resistance. I'm not going to attract.
Right.
So which has been, a big learning curve also. But that's what I offer, Theresa. Thank you for asking.
So do you go through an agency to get your bookings for your speaking engagements, or is it all through word of mouth? Or
it's word of mouth, and social media really helps.
Right.
Speaking engagements are a big one for me. And that's why I try to get speaking engagements, because they can hear me, they can see me, they can feel me, they can come directly to me and ask any question, which I think is the best modality, is to be there for them, physically present.
What an amazing woman you are. I can see how you inspire people, and I can see that drill sergeant in you.
I'll take you to Paris Island anytime, Theresa, where we train recruits.
From one drill sergeant to another.
Yes, exactly.
Like-minded people. See, we're drawn together. It's funny. I love it when I can find another person that's got that same mentality, same background, same everything. It's been a blessing to get to interview you. Once again, tell people where to find you. Listeners, you got to be able to take this down, get a pen and write it down so you can contact this woman. Once again, tell everybody where they can find you.
They can find me at sandragonzalez.com. Go to my website, or on Instagram at the Sandra Gonzalez. With 2 Z's. That's correct.
You're on Twitter?
I'm not on Twitter. I need to be.
No, I don't think so.
No? Okay. Good.
I don't think us life coach people need to be on Twitter. I sometimes think Twitter's a place to get in trouble.
Okay, good.
No, because we are very vocal people. We like to speak our minds, and I think sometimes when you speak your mind nowadays,
right.
It
is what it is, though. And sometimes it needs to be said, Theresa.
Right. Yeah.
It needs to be said. And we're here to do that, challenge the status quo.
Yeah. But it's that fine line you have to walk, too. It's like, do you say something and piss people off? You just keep quiet. It's hard to tell sometimes now with social media.
I know.
Too hard to understand sometimes.
Yeah, there's a lot of people that get easily offended, unfortunately. And I completely understand.
That's another show. So, Sandra, thank you so much for joining us today. Thank you so much. It's been just a true blessing and treasure to get to speak with you today, guys. Get out there and find her everywhere, guys. You can also find me everywhere in social media. It's TheresaRoemer.com, Theresa Roemer everywhere. So thanks again, once again, Sandra. And you've been listening to Conversations in the Closet. And until next time, bye-bye.
Glutathione is a big word. It's the body's own master antioxidant. It's a scavenger for free radical, bacteria, and viruses. There are no products in the market with the ingredient NASET. NASET increases the production of glutathione that's in our body already to strengthen and enhance our immune system, elevate sense of well-being, support muscle strength and endurance, cognitive function, and liver support. It helps with increased energy and blood sugar regulation. Get your bottle of GSH Plus from www.salvationnutra.com.